So there's 4 reasons a business will buy anything. So if you're a consultant that sells B2B, these are the 4 to pay the most attention to. The first is a business is going to buy because you're going to help them make more money, period. You sell them money at a cheaper cost. The second is you're going to save them money. The third is you're going to increase their efficiency. So that could be process, you name it. And then the fourth is that you help them to mitigate risk. Now, why are all these important? Is because they are all measurable. During your discovery, you can find out how much they're currently spending in time on X process. How much money are they spending on this process? And once you have that, if you know your numbers, you could talk about the delta that you can help them to achieve, the savings, or how much money you can help them make very clearly. And as a sales trainer named Tom Hopkins, who says, if the customer says it, it is true. So if they're giving you the numbers, they can't say you made up the numbers, which is always important. So you want to get these inputs that way. On the B2C side, so business to consumer side, if you work with people in more of a one-on-one coaching capacity and they're not necessarily running a business, the 3 things that are going to get them to want to buy things are to have better health, more wealth, and stronger relationships, right? Because what good is more wealth and better health if you don't have people to share it with? Now, the judo of these is if you can combine them. So if you're in a B2B context, remember, we're humans solving human problems in a business context. So a human cares about health, wealth, and relationships. The business cares about making money, saving money, increasing efficiency, and mitigating risk. If you're able to talk about how you can increase the efficiency of the business and talking about how you can get that person more time with their new baby at home, now we've married those 2 things and we're talking to solving the business problem and getting the person involved in their own story of how you can help them achieve something that they potentially want to. So for anybody listening here, for these 7 things, just jot down how your business does each of these, because chances are you do at least 3 of the 4 things, if not all 4. And there's ways you can describe what you've done or get inputs from previous clients of how you've helped them make more money in their company, have better relationships with their family at home or with their colleagues. And they don't have to work 12 hours a day now because of what you're helping with. So they have better health. They're able to go to the gym again. Might not sound as significant as you think, but remember, these are the inputs that get people to say, oh, like you're really looking at the details of what this solution can do. And especially as a consultant, people pay you for your expertise and the outcomes that you get. And your outcomes don't always have to be just what they're doing for the business. They can also be what they're doing for the people inside of the business, which is an underrated thing. So if you have stories ready for these things, you're set. And if you're selling real big consulting contracts, like some of the folks that I've met, you are going to have 7 people weigh in on making a decision to work with you. So each one of them may have one of those different markers that's most important for them to decide on whether or not to work with you. So the CEO cares about making more money for the shareholders. The CFO wants to save money. The people who might actually be working directly with you care about the increase in their efficiency, so on and so forth. Have a story ready for how you can do that. And the sales will be much clearer, much easier, and much more resonant with the people whose problems you can solve.
So if we give people some steps here, step 1 is to make some columns, like outline or kind of, put at the top of each column, these 7 areas, right? Some factors. Then go through and think, how does your product, service, the experience you provide, the way that you interact with your clients, which of those columns or factors do you directly impact, touch, right? Have some kind of weight on or control over, and that you can assist with. Then think through, based on those, where do you have stories for each one? Then start using those stories in your conversations with a buyer. So you're now not only asking questions about what's your revenue or what are your goals or how are you going to deal with this change with AI or whatever. You're able to actually tell stories of how you've helped somebody, transformation that you've been a part of in each of these areas. And then I think the other one, which you didn't mention specifically, Steve, but I know that we've talked about in the past, is that this is not only applicable to sales conversations. It can be obviously applied to sales related or any kind of communication and emails. But then the other one that I think this has a really big kind of potential is content. All right. So when you're writing articles, you're on a podcast, you're on the stage speaking, like whatever it is, stories sell. Right? I think we've all kind of heard that, right? And it's true, right? Going back in time, we all resonate with stories. So if you can have stories that are directly applicable to the work that you do and helps people see the value of what you do and the problems that you solve, right? It becomes even more powerful.
Yep, that's the thing. And the whole reason you tell a story is to better help your audience tell their own story. So figure out those nuggets and give the people what they want.
So I got a couple questions for you related to speaking and storytelling. First, on the storytelling side, is there anything that you found when you work with your clients that holds people back from telling great stories, or just any like common mistakes that they make that you could just offer to people who are joining and listening to this, who maybe think they want to apply more stories in their sales process and in their content? What might you kind of counsel or guide them on?
First thing I'd say to anybody is who you are is the most interesting thing about what you do. Because there's 5 million consultants who do what I do or what any of us does. So who you are is going to be the bigger differentiator. And if I know who you are, then I want to know what you do and I could be a little bit more approachable to you.
Let me just jump in for one second. I don't mean to interrupt, but uh, so somebody might be listening and going, yeah, but Steven, like I'm not special. I'm just like, I'm just me. Like what? So what would you tell? How can they extract more of who they are to the level that you're talking about, where it makes, because for some people that doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, what's special about me? So
That's fair. And it's not that I'm calling anybody special. It's more about, remember, humans solving human problems in a business context. I want to know that you are a person that can do what I need, and I have to like you first. So, quick example, when I first was considering getting a coach, I found out about Mike and Sam and consulting success through your article on Starter Story. And then I watched the video and I was like, oh, they're family. I love that. And you're talking about like how you guys were in Japan and everything else. And I still remember that. I was like, I like this. Let me go check and get on their blog. Let me go subscribe to the newsletter and see what else they have to offer, because you passed that emotional barrier of I can trust what you have. That's what a story does.
no, I'll say you're so right, because like we've seen this firsthand. I mean, the experience that you're just sharing right now and if anybody wants to see this who hasn't seen it yet, go to consultingsuccess.com, click on the Our Story page or the About page, and you'll see the video that Steven's referring to. Like we've gotten so many comments over the years about that video. And I think it's not because our story is necessarily so remarkable. It's simply that we're telling like our real story. And so we're connecting beyond the typical corporate level, professional level. The video is not just about Sam and I. It's about, the ups and downs of business, of our relationship as cousins and business partners. It talks about our grandparents. Like it shows kind of where we are, where we came from, right? So you're connected. I think so. That's your point, is that
You're connecting. Exactly.
yeah, right. And just everyone who's listening to this has a story, but most people don't tell it, right? Their About page is like the corporate professional. It's not even a story. It's just like a bio, and that bio could be interchanged for anybody out there who's gone to the same schools and like got the same degrees, and there's nothing special. But telling your story, that's really what you're getting as, like you're really sharing who you are.
Because before I ever met you guys, I was like, I like the way you guys, I like your philosophies. It gave me a good entree into wanting to learn more about what you had on offer. And then I look at the content. The content's very high quality. It speaks exactly where I am. It was very clear, like, if there's somebody I should consider, I should absolutely consider you guys. You're worth a phone call. Like you demonstrated that in spades with the stories and situations you tell. So any person out here who's like, I don't know what stories to tell, don't worry, I got you. There's 3 kinds of stories that resonate very well with everybody. And you already have these. You don't need to figure anything out. So the first is your mission. So for example, we talked about, I almost died in a construction accident. That's what got me into sales. I have other stories about what specifically made me say I want to help people improve sales and use storytelling to do it. I'll tell that at another time. But I have a story for that. I have an incisive moment that's like, you know what? I need to change this. That's what got me on my mission. That's the human side of me saying, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. This is why I'm doing it. And that gets people to say, you know what? I like your why. The next is your vision. So what does it look like when your mission is completed? Be clear about the big picture thing you want to have. And again, if you need help on mindset, talk to Mike or talk to Sam. They can help you figure it out. But it should be much larger than you think, because the larger your vision, the more attention it gets, and the more people want to add themselves to it, their skill set, their time, their energy to seeing that thing come to life. It helps people see themselves as the heroes in the story. Then the third type of story, you have this, I promise you do, is milestones. What are some of the hard things you went through in your life or your business, or your clients went through in their life or their business? Tell those stories. I bet you could say, Mike, how many people have come to you guys with like 3, 4 months runway, invested in the program, and you guys turned their business around, right? That's a story that I want to see myself in if I'm in a similar situation. And that's the value, right? So I'd say to everybody, my first advice, aside from deciding if you want to use stories, create a story bank. Pause the podcast, or right after the podcast, just write down things from your life that fit into those categories. Start collecting memes from Instagram or good stories you see on LinkedIn. They don't have to all be your stories. They just have to apply to the context you want the audience to see, and to create the mindset of taking the right appropriate action that you're asking them to take. And so it needs to resonate.